the near future, a new ice age has taken over the planet. With the surface now uninhabitable, the remaining humans are forced to live in underground bunkers. Resources are extremely limited, and the survivors have become terrified of even the common cold. The last time a flu outbreak occurred, it wiped out 20 people in less than a week. To prevent further tragedies, their leader, Briggs, created a strict rule. Anyone who gets sick is immediately quarantined. If they don't recover, they must choose between being shot or taking a long walk into the freezing wilderness. One day, the colony receives a distress signal from Colony 5. Realizing the urgency, Briggs calls for an emergency meeting. As the survivors gather, he informs them of the situation and announces that he will lead a team to investigate. Mason strongly objects, arguing that they cannot afford to waste resources. But Briggs ignores him and selects Sam and Graydon to join the mission, leaving Kai in charge until they return. Just as the meeting ends, Dexter's wife sneezes. Instantly, the crowd recoils, covering their faces in fear, and the couple is quickly quarantined. Mason protests again, demanding that they should be tested immediately, and argues that Kai is not a strong leader. Briggs shuts him down, ordering Mason to wait for his return before making any decisions about the sick couple. The next morning, Briggs, Sam, and Graydon set off on their journey. The brutal cold and relentless snow make travel difficult, forcing them to walk for hours through the frozen wasteland. After passing through the remains of an abandoned city, they reach a damaged bridge. Carefully, they navigate around the crumbling sections, but at one point, Briggs nearly falls when the ice beneath his feet breaks. He barely manages to save himself in time. After a long day of travel, they come across a crashed helicopter and decide to use it as shelter for the night. Graydon, who was born after the world froze over, has never seen an aircraft and is fascinated by the idea of planes flying in the sky. As they settle in, Briggs contacts their colony for an update. Cooper informs him that Dexter and his wife are getting worse, and Mason continues to demand that they be tested. Frustrated, Briggs gives Cooper permission to use force against Mason if necessary. The following day, the team finally arrives at Colony 5. The sight that greets them is disturbing. Blood stains the snow outside the entrance, and a thick smell of smoke fills the air. As they descend into the bunker, they find more blood, but no signs of life. This bunker once housed 50 people, but there is no one to greet them. Briggs hands Graydon a gun for protection as they move deeper inside. They are about to assume that everyone is dead when a faint noise comes from behind a locked door. Sam picks the lock, and inside, they find a man collapsed on the ground. The man, Leland, panics at first, begging for mercy. Once the trio convinces him that they are friendly, he calms down and asks them to shut the door again. Leland accepts some food and water, explaining that he has been hiding in the room for days. He isn't sure if anyone else in the bunker is still alive. He says that a few days ago, they received a transmission, which he plays for the group. On the screen, a man appears, standing in an area with no snow. He explains that his group has restored an old weather machine, successfully melting the permafrost and making the land fertile again. The only thing they need now is seeds. However, the transmission cuts off before revealing the full location. Leland tells them that they had managed to triangulate the signal and sent a team to investigate, but they never returned. Instead, something else followed them back, and since then, the bunker has been under attack. Sam asks Leland to mark the location on the map, and Briggs insists that he come back with them. But Leland refuses, saying that the noise they heard earlier wasn't made by him. The trio gathers as many supplies as they can and tries to contact their own colony, but the signal is dead. They prepare to leave and attempt to drag Leland with them, but strange sounds echo through the corridors. Terrified, Leland breaks free and locks himself back inside the room. As the trio go deeper, the disturbing noises grow louder, banging, screaming, and inhuman growls. Soon, they come face to face with a horrifying sight. The bodies of the colonists lie scattered around the room, while a man butchers a corpse. Others crouch nearby, eating human flesh. Before they can react, the butcher smells them and turns, ready to attack. Sam fires first, killing him instantly, but the gunshot wakes the others. More cannibals emerge from the piles of bodies, and their leader roars, sending them charging after the trio. Sam fires at as many as he can, but there are too many. Briggs throws a stick of dynamite, creating a temporary barrier. Graydon gets separated from the group, and soon the cannibals swarm him. By the time they fight their way to Graydon's side, it's too late. There is no time to grieve, and the two survivors keep running. They make it to the stairwell, but Sam's gun runs out of ammo. Briggs smashes the stairs, cutting off their pursuers. The cannibal leader arrives moments later, enraged at the loss of his prey. Once outside, Briggs throws another stick of dynamite into the entrance, collapsing the structure and sealing the bunker shut. The two men walk through the frozen wasteland once more. When they reach the crashed helicopter, Briggs decides they must stay the night as the temperature is dropping too fast. As they rest, they reflect on what they witnessed. Sam is shaken, but Briggs grimly states that people will do anything to survive. The next morning, they wake up and realize the cannibals have been following their footsteps and are now closing in. Sam fears they'll lead them straight to the colony, but Briggs already has a plan. The two rush across the damaged bridge, planting dynamite near a large gap before hiding behind some broken signs. However, the strong wind blows out the fuse. Sam volunteers to relight it, but Briggs knocks him down and goes himself. Meanwhile, some cannibals try to leap across the gap, but fall to their deaths. At the last second, Briggs finally lights the fuse, then deliberately fights the approaching cannibals to lure them closer. Just as they surround him, the dynamite explodes in his hands. The blast kills Briggs and destroys the center of the bridge, making it impossible to cross. Sam, in shock, sees a few cannibals, including their leader, on the other side. They glare at him, but with no way to reach him, he turns and starts running again. Back at the colony, Mason has taken Dexter and his sick wife outside, ignoring their desperate pleas for mercy. Without hesitation, he shoots Dexter's wife. But before he can do the same to Dexter, Kai intervenes, threatening to shoot Mason if he doesn't stop. Suddenly, they hear Sam's distant cries for help. Seizing the distraction, Dexter escapes into the snow. Kai rushes to find Sam, who collapses from exhaustion and the cold. Mason follows behind and, seeing his opportunity, knocks Kai unconscious. Hours later, Sam wakes up inside the bunker, handcuffed to a bed. Mason enters, declaring that there's been a change in command. Sam warns him about the approaching cannibals and insists they must leave immediately. He also tells Mason about the warm land from the transmission, but Mason refuses to believe him. Ignoring Sam's warnings, he walks away, taking his followers with him. Before leaving, a young boy secretly hands Sam the key to his handcuffs. Outside, Mason and Victor stand guard, watching for any threats. Victor admits that Sam is not the type to lie, suggesting they should prepare for an attack just in case. They consider checking the security cameras, but before they can, a colonist rushes in and informs them that Sam has escaped. Sam quickly finds Kai, who has been restrained in another room, and frees her. Together, they rush to her computer, searching for any sign of the warm land from the message, and finally detect a heat signature. The warm land is real. They gather as many seeds as they can carry and prepare to inform the colony. However, before they can escape, Mason and his men intercept them, reminding them who's in charge. Before Mason can take action, a loud banging noise echoes from outside. The group rush to check the security cameras and see the cannibals have arrived. They are violently slamming against the doors, trying to break in. Their leader holds up Dexter's severed head as a warning before smashing the camera. Finally realizing the danger, Mason orders every capable fighter to arm themselves, while the rest of the colonists hide in the vault. Cooper leads the civilians inside and guards the entrance while the fighters prepare in the corridor for the inevitable breach. The door suddenly swings open, but no one is there. Suddenly, a cannibal bursts through a ventilation shaft, landing directly in front of Cooper. He struggles to defend himself, but is quickly overpowered. The cannibal races toward the vault, but just as he reaches it, the colonists manage to slam the door shut in his face. A brutal fight breaks out as the cannibals storm the colony, attacking from all sides. Both sides suffer heavy losses, but no matter how many cannibals they kill, more keep coming. Meanwhile, Victor, tired of running, makes a stand against the cannibal leader. He fights fiercely, but the leader ultimately overpowers and kills him. Seeing the colony fall apart, Mason runs to a safe room where a few survivors who didn't make it to the vault are hiding. He slams the door shut, leaving Sam and Kai outside with a cannibal approaching fast. A survivor inside shoves Mason to the ground, allowing Sam and Kai to enter just in time. Unfortunately, The cannibal also manages to slip inside. Without hesitation, Kai shoots it dead, and they rush to barricade the door, but it won't hold for long. Sam spots a ventilation shaft and quickly opens it, urging everyone to escape. Mason protests, arguing that they'll freeze to death and that they should stay and fight, but the others ignore him and crawl into the vent. Before leaving, Sam hands Mason a gun, his only chance to fight back. As soon as Sam disappears into the vent, the cannibals break through the door. Mason, alone and outnumbered, shoots a gas tank, triggering a massive explosion that wipes out all the remaining cannibals, except for their leader, who barely escapes by diving into the vent. The cannibal leader tracks Sam through the vent, and soon the two engage in a vicious fight. Their struggle causes the vent to collapse, sending them crashing into the livestock room below. Sam grabs a fallen knife and stabs the cannibal in the leg. He strikes his enemy mercilessly, smashing his face beyond recognition. With one final strike, he decapitates the cannibal, ending the nightmare once and for all. Outside, Kai and the remaining survivors watch as their home burns. At that moment, Sam emerges from the wreckage. Exhausted, but determined, he tells them they have no choice but to find the warm land from the message. With no other options, the group begins their long journey across the snow, clinging to the hope that a new home awaits them.